Today's live is really going to be focused in on all of the goods that I found at the H&H America's Craft Show a couple of weeks ago, the Craft Industry Trade Show. I was able to pick up lots and lots of samples. So I'm going to talk about, first we're going to start with the things that have already arrived that I ordered at the show and that are here and in the shop. And then we're going to dive into kind of this big Santa bag that I have over here full of all of the goodies and samples that I picked up of things that are going to be coming soon or coming down the line. One of the more exciting things about these trade shows is getting to preview items that either vendors that I've worked with for years are coming out with in the next few months. In terms of fabric stuff that's not going to be out till like January of next year. And so getting to see some of that stuff, that's always really fun. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. So let's start first with Hawthorn Handmade. They are a vendor based out of the UK, and I've stocked their needle felting kits and embroidery kits for quite a while now. They have a couple of new kits that just came out. So this is their Celtic Wolf, and it is a mini 4-inch hoop kit, and it goes with, they have a whole series of these Celtic animals, the hare, and the deer, and there's like a bird of some kind. So there's a new one here. There's a new one to their kind of outdoor landscape satin stitch series. This is another 4-inch kit called Forest Walk. And then a new larger 6-inch hoop called Starling Song. So Hawthorne's kits are complete kits. They include everything that you need is inside this box. It has the hoop. The pattern is already pre-printed on cotton fabric. It includes your thread, your needle, your basic stitching instructions. So these are kind of nice complete kits if you're looking for a good gift or something for a beginner. These are great for that. Hawthorne is also stick and stitch embroidery patterns were like the thing. Like just about every embroidery designer is coming out with their own version of stick and stitch patterns. Everybody from drop cloth samplers, Hawthorn Handmade, Corienne LaPierre, basically just about everybody has them. So there was tons of stick and stitch patterns. Hawthorne has a whole collection of stick and stitch that are on their way to me now. So there's going to be a whole, I think they've got 7 or 8 different designs that will be coming very soon. And speaking of stick and stitch, Corienne LaPierre has a new series of stick and stitch. You can see all 4 designs on the website. I got kind of a preview pack before I left for H&H, and I listed them, and they sold out very, very quickly. So these are hopefully being delivered today, so they'll be back in the shop. But if you are not familiar with stick and stitch, what this is a special kind of fabric paper. Looks like this. This is what you get inside the Corienne LaPierre. You get this kind of 8.5 by 11 sheet that has all of these different embroidery motifs on them. So instead of having to transfer your design using either the Lightbox method or transfer pens or anything like that, you go ahead and you cut out the motif that you want to stitch. And then this has release paper on it. So once you have it cut out, you take the white backing paper off, and what you're left with is this kind of sticky, tacky, fabric-like kind of paper that the design is printed on. This will adhere to just about any fabric. You can stitch through it. It does not gum up your needle. It doesn't make it any harder to stitch through. And then once you are done stitching, you submerge it in water, and the papery stuff disappears. And so all that's left is your stitches. So it's a really easy way to transfer designs onto any fabric of your choice. These are super popular for people that are stitching on clothing, on Converse sneakers, bags, kind of any non-traditional surfaces, but of course, traditional embroidery hoop patterns, of course, you can make out of these. There are several designers that this is how their kits are coming now. These are great for felt applique. You can stick this onto felt and stitch through that. So they're very versatile. They're really handy. They are one-time use. So once you kind of stitch this design, it's going to dissolve. And then if you wanted to stitch it again, you would need to purchase a new pack in order to use it again. Some of the designers are including paper versions of these patterns so that then you could in the future transfer the design using one of the other transfer methods, but there's usually only one stick and stitch pattern per pack of each design. The Corienne LaPierre sheets come with, each one has somewhere between 19 to 22 different motifs on it. So you can really do a lot with this sheet. You can, just stitch one little flower here, or you can stitch kind of the bigger motifs. So it gives you a lot of options in terms of what you can do. So you're going to be seeing a lot of stick and stitch this summer. Like I said, the Corienne LaPierre ones are on their way. Hawthorn Handmade ones are on their way. Dropcloth wasn't at H&H, but Rebecca has a whole new series that those will be added to the shop later this summer. So there's going to be a whole more. So if you're a fan of stick and stitch, there's a whole bunch of stick and stitch that's going to be coming to the shop very, very soon. All right, so Hawthorn is here. Those are up on the website. Oh, the other Hawthorn Handmade item that is here that I forgot to grab are these adorable little earrings. So Hawthorn has come out with a series of wooden post earrings similar to their needle minders. They are made with stainless steel hypoallergenic posts with the butterfly clip, so they work great for sensitive ears. I've got 4 different designs. These are the tape measures. These are the teal thread bobbins. There's also a granny square and an embroidery hoop over there. So these are really cute, something new to try out in the shop, see if anybody's interested in some earrings. If you all like these, they do have a larger selection, and I will add some more if they're popular. So we got some of those. The next item that is already here in the shop that I discovered over there is from Scotland. So this is from the Crafty Kit Company. I have carried their kits over the years. They do a lot of needle felting kits, some embroidery kits, but this is a new product for them. These are mini matchbox cross stitch kits. So they are these adorable, this is the packaging, super cute. They are meant for gifting. So they have kind of fun sayings for fox's sake on them. Be yourself. How are you feline? That kind of stuff. And so inside of these little boxes, what you get is these adorable little cross stitch kits. This comes from their birthday toast kit, which is this one. And then I stitched this up on the plane ride home from Chicago. So inside of the kit, this is the actual kit, so the fabric and stuff is used, but you get a little chart, a color chart, some instructions if you need them, tons of floss. I have enough floss here to probably stitch the same design another 2 or 3 times if I wanted to. You get a piece of 14 count Aida cloth, a needle, and you get the mini wooden embroidery hoop. And so once you're done stitching, it gives you instructions on how you put your fabric inside the hoop. You will need cracked glue in order to attach the backing onto this, but they're super cute. The way that she had them displayed in the booth, she had a little Christmas tree full of these as little ornaments, which was really sweet. And they make really nice, fun gifts. We had these at Open Studio over the weekend, and they were pretty popular. Several folks got them for their grandkids to have summer projects with them. They're very doable for kids. So these are kind of a fun new. There's a total of, I think, 12 different designs right now. But you'll find these are already in the shop. So those were really fun. And it was really, I got to go to Scotland over winter break this past year. And so it was just really fun to kind of talk with them about Scotland. All right, the other item that is here comes from the Mountain Thread Company. So these folks are based here in North Carolina, and these kits are for using your sewing machine. So these are to make rope bowls. So we've got 4 different kits. This is to make 2 oval trays. This one makes 3 rope bowls. This one makes 1 round organizer. And this one, you can make 5 mini trinket bowls out of this. So rope bowls or coiled rope baskets, these have been around for ages. Back when I first started Snuggly Monkey, so the first time I actually incorporated Snuggly Monkey was about 17 years ago, and it was a handmade store back then. I was making ring sling baby slings, and I was making coil rope baskets. But Mountain Thread Company didn't exist back then. So I was using regular cotton clothesline to make them. And then these folks came along and they developed this rope that is perfect for making these kinds of baskets. And it is made right here in North Carolina, which is fantastic. This is they have 2 different widths. This is the thinner one. There's a slightly thicker one. And it also comes in a bunch of really beautiful different colors. I might have a couple of samples in here somewhere. And so these rope bowls, the kits come obviously with the rope, comes with instructions on how to make your thing, and then it also even comes with the thicker jean needle that you'll need for your sewing machine to stitch through this rope. So these ropes are meant to be stitched through, so you'll need a sewing machine that can do a basic zigzag stitch. But you don't need an industrial sewing machine. You don't need anything heavy duty. Most home sewing machines can sew these quite easily. They're super fun. That you can get really creative with them. You can stitch up the basket with just your rope and use different color threads to bring some color to your project. You can wrap fabric scraps to put some color in there. Over the weekend, my sister's been playing with these a lot, and she used some of the ilovela, the thicker Mexican embroidery floss, and she wrapped that around. That looked really fun. So there's just a lot of possibilities, and then you end up with a kind of a nice organizer after you're done. They come together really quickly, and they're a lot of fun to do. So that is what the Mountain Thread Company rope bowl kits are, and like I said, these are already here and in the shop. So that is pretty much what's here already. There's a lot more on its way, but let's start jumping into some of the other items that I picked up and that are not. So everything from here forward, you're not going to find in the shop just yet, but it should. Some of it is already ordered and will be here later on this summer. And some of it is things that I'm still thinking about and trying to decide whether I'm going to add them. So the first thing is from Storyteller Stitchery, Needlepoint Kits. So Storyteller Stitchery, I have carried her silk embroidery floss for about a year or so. She does hand-dyed yarn and hand-dyed silk floss. Her floss is this one here. So it comes just like this. You get the big laundry pin, and then you get 5 colors. All of her colorways are based on books. And so there are 2 new silk thread, embroidery thread color sets coming. One based on the life of Addie LaRue, and one based on Emma, I think. So there's 2 new colorways that are on their way. But what Melissa has really been working on this year is developing these needlepoint kits. So there was a lot of needlepoint at this year's show, which wasn't the case last year. So inside of these beautiful kits, you are going to find a cotton needlepoint canvas. So the design is already printed on here. And then a selection of her hand-dyed yarns to stitch up your design. So you get all of the yarn that you need to stitch the design. This I thought was really clever. She's including a thread chart for you, but it's actually a physical thread holder. So when you are following the pattern and you're trying to figure out which color goes where, she is providing a key for you, showing you exactly which thread corresponds with which number and where that's going to go on your pattern. So that makes it really nice and easy, and you get a cute little floss organizer as well. She includes a needle and a needle threader. The needle is a tapestry needle, I believe, that will work well with the yarns. It has a nice big eye. And then you have all of your instructions inside on how to stitch up this kit. So these are on order and they should be here in a few weeks, towards the end of June, I think. I got 4 or 5 different designs. She's got 2 sizes. This is the larger canvas and there is a smaller canvas. Needlepoint, if you have not done needlepoint before, you're not familiar with it, needlepoint kits do tend to be a little bit pricier than your standard embroidery kits simply because of the materials. There's a lot more yarn involved. Especially these are hand-dyed yarns, but still I found her kits to be very reasonable for what needlepoint kits can typically go for. So they are going to range anywhere between 50 to 85 for the complete kit, and that includes everything that you need. The only thing that you would need in addition to this box is if you like to stitch on any sort of frame. So if you need stretcher bars, you can also do needlepoint in hand. So you don't need stretcher bars necessarily. You can do it just like this. So, so those kits are coming soon, and I'm excited about those. There is a series of these really pretty nighttime garden ones. There's a series of book-related kits that are really cute. So those are on their way. All right. Next up, we went by the Hilo Vela booth, the Hilos Omega, and those are, if you look right behind me, that whole cabinet over there, that is Hilo Vela, which is a Mexican embroidery floss. It is a 6-stranded floss, just like you would stitch with, Cosmo DMC, same kind of thing. It comes in these big hanks, so it comes by weight. There is 30 grams of floss in here. This is by far the best deal on embroidery thread around. If you are doing any large scale projects that you need a ton of one color, this is a fantastic option. So inside of here, you actually have 5 little skeins are inside of that big bundle. I twist mine up like this, but they look just like this. And so you use this just like you would regular embroidery floss. The difference, what makes this different from, say, Cosmo or DMC, is that it's not as mercerized as the other flosses, which means that it's a little bit more matte. It doesn't have that super shine, the high sheen that Cosmo is known for. But also when you don't mercerize thread quite as much, what happens over time is that the thread will start to kind of unwind and fluff out. And that's what gives Mexican embroidery, the tenango, otomi, that distinctive look that almost looks wool-like, but it's cotton floss. And that's because they use this kind of thread. So they have, so far, I've stocked this for a while, and it does great. Folks love it. It's great to stitch with. But they have that same, some people are really intimidated by kind of this huge amount. So they have this same thread in smaller sizes. So they have it, this is the global, they have it in kind of what you're more used to seeing, the little tiny skeins. So we are talking with them about possibly bringing these into the shop so that you can try the Hilo Vela in a smaller quantity and not having to buy kind of the big hanks of it. They also have another embroidery floss that has a few more colors, similar kind of thing. And they have some metallics as well as a pearl cotton. This is their size 8 pearl. So their range of colors is smaller than, say, DMC or Cosmo, but they are different. They're more vibrant. They have kind of a more vibrant range of colors, I think, than some of the other lines. This is the availability of their metallic colors. So I haven't quite figured out exactly which ones I'm going to bring, but there is going to be more of the Hilos Omega. Their Hilo Vela is going to be in the shop. And like I said, most likely it's going to be in this format so that you can use smaller amounts and you don't have to buy the big pieces of it. I'm also looking at their pearl cottons. Just to add, again, I do have kind of the entire range of Wonderfill pearl cottons right now, but the colors that they have available are kind of the more bright, vibrant colors that you would traditionally associate with Mexican embroidery. So, so possibly adding some more of those. And then if you wanted to see what their metallic floss looks like, I haven't stitched with it yet. I'm very fussy about metallics. I'm a big fan of the Cosmo Nishikito metallics, and that's pretty much the only metallics that I use. But this is what the Omega metallics look like. It reminds me a bit of the DMC, where it's very kind of untwists very easily. I am going to try it out, see what I think, but very unsure as to whether or not I'm going to be adding that to the shop quite yet. All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of the questions here. That is a bargain. Will it be possible to buy a color thread floss card in the future? Of the Hilo Omega, yes. I can ask for sure if that's something that you're interested in. Not all of the companies have floss cards kind of available for retail. Cosmo does, and theirs is a real floss card, so it's not photographs, it's actual floss. Wonderfill does, but theirs are photographs, it's not actual thread. But I could definitely ask about the Hilo Omega if that's something that folks are interested in. That wouldn't be a problem at all. All right, the next thing that I have here to show you. So technically this stuff is here already, but it is not, you can't see it in the shop yet, because as soon as I wrap this up, I'm going to go and take photographs so that these will be up later on this afternoon, hopefully, or tomorrow. But while I was at H&H, one of the things that happens, there's tons of classes that happen, everything from learning labs where people demonstrate their products to you, to actual kind of mini classes, to, state of the industry kind of classes or lectures. So one of the things that I did, Liberty of London, was having an English paper piecing kind of mini class. And we went and did that, and I loved it. I had a great time. I had already been thinking about adding more English paper piecing. Folks have been asking for it more, but I am definitely going to be, there's going to be a much larger English paper piecing section to the shop. So this is what I have been playing with since I got back. This is also a fabric sneak peek for you all. This is Rashidita Coleman Hale's new collection that will be out in January of 2026. But I've been kind of playing with hexes lately, and I'm not quite sure where I'm headed with this. I'm just having a great time stitching them together. So I'm going to be adding the paper pieces that you actually use, along with some of the templates and patterns. Oh, hey, thanks, Mac. I'm so glad you joined. How to access the recordings later. Excellent question. They will be on, they should automatically post to the Substack. So you can come back. I know these tend to be long, so feel free to come back later on and keep watching it. And if I set things up correctly, it should also automatically post to the Snuggly Monkey YouTube page, which is youtube.com/@SnugglyMonkey. And it should automatically go there. If it doesn't, I will manually post it up on YouTube, but you'll be able to rewatch these, or, if you need to go, you want to come back later, you can pick up where you left off, and they should be in those two places. Thank you for asking. Okay, so some of the patterns, the English paper piecing patterns that I've added is this Shimmering Trees, which is a little table runner, and this actually includes all of the paper pieces. Oh, yay, another new EPPer. And then it has the pattern in here. So obviously you would need your own fabric. This Busy Bees is in here as well. That's another pattern that's going to be coming. We've got some ornaments. These are little star ornaments. And then this is to make Moravian stars, which being in North Carolina, I thought these would be a good addition. Could there be an Otomi class, please? So I am far from an expert. I myself only took my first Otomi classes about 2 years ago. I would be happy to share the knowledge that I have, but I don't feel confident enough in my own skills to be able to teach a class. Hey, Melissa, there's Melissa from Storyteller Citry. We're showing your kit. But I'm happy to share what I know about Otomi. If you are a Spanish speaker, there is a wonderful woman. She teaches via Zoom. She is Mexican, but she currently lives in Chile. She's on Facebook, and her Facebook is La Puntadita Mexicana. I'll write that down and put it somewhere so that y'all can see that. But she does the classes in Spanish. The class that I was in, there was someone from Germany in there, and she was actually using Google Translate as the class was going on to kind of translate for herself. So there's technology out there if you don't speak Spanish. But her class was excellent, excellent, excellent. And she has learned from the people that originated this technique, and she's amazing. So that's a great resource if you are interested in learning Tenango or Otomi style embroidery. All right, so inside of these paper piecing kits, like I said, you've got all of your little paper pieces that you're going to be using, and then the pattern is all written out. I've also added some of their plastic acrylic templates that help you cut out your fabric if you want to do some fussy cutting, and those are going to be in the shop very soon. Let's see if that's in here. I've got some new from Sew Tights. These are the magnets that you can use instead of pins, and you can use them for English paper piecing. These are their English paper piecing palettes, and so the idea is that you, if your hand cramps as if you're holding this too tight and your hand starts cramping, you can use these little plastic pallets and your Sew Tight magnets to put the pieces on there. And then you can do a kind of flat whip stitch instead of holding them, and it eases the pressure on your hand. So all of these cool, fun little additions. So these Sew Tight hand mix magnets will be in the shop, as well as the this plastic palette. So all of this fun English paper piecing stuff is on its way, and we'll be probably adding more as I myself dive deeper into this world, because I'm really enjoying it. It's very relaxing, it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited I've got some ideas in my head of different things that I want to experiment and play with. All right, so next up here we have Junebug and Darling. So Junebug and Darling is a modern cross-stitch company based out of Portland, and Zoe is a lovely person, and I have carried her cross-stitch kits in the past. We're bringing some back, so I ordered some kits from her, and she has this new line of wooden thread organizers and bobbins that are absolutely beautiful. She has these, they're made for her by a friend in Portland, I believe. And so these are the floss bobbins. Each pack comes with 5 wooden bobbins, and they're just really beautiful. They're really, really lovely. They're really nicely done. I love the colors that she chose, and the thread organizers are kind of similar colorways, similar designs, but you'll have kind of the larger thread organizer. So these are on their way as well, which will be really fun. And like I said, we're gonna cross stitch is such a funny thing. I have tried it so many times in the shop over the years, and it tends to not sell super well in the online store. But every single month that I have an open studio, I have folks coming in here asking for cross stitch stuff. So we're going to give it a try again. And we've got some of Zoe's kits on their way here that we'll be adding back into the shop. And her kits are complete kits. They include everything: the hoop, the fabric, the thread, the charts, everything that you need is in there. Going back to Mountain Thread Company, this is some of their colored rope. So this is, they have solid colors. This is one of their variegated styles. So you can see this would be super fun to make one of those coil baskets from. You don't have to really add anything to it to add color to your basket, but you could also add fabric scraps, use different threads, that kind of thing. So this is an example of one of the colors of their rope that is available. All right, so the next pile of stuff that I have here is from Sue Spargo. If you're not familiar with Sue Spargo, she is kind of a amazing human in the embroidery world. She does all sorts of patterns. She's got thread lines, and she is truly a very sweet and delightful person. I wandered into her booth, and she was right there, and she walked around her booth and was just absolutely delightful. So she has a much larger. What I did not realize was how much of her things are available, not just through her store, but to stockists. So I can add her items to my shop, which I wasn't aware of before I went. So that's really exciting. So I am going to be adding several of Sue's items to the shop. One of the things that I loved, she has these printed embroidery samplers. They are printed on Belgian linen. So the quality is really lovely. Let me pop this one open for you. This one is what's it called? Shroom Boom. It's this little mushroom design. If you were following along with my pictures from H&H, there was this huge mushroom wall hanging that came from the Sue Spargo booth. That's not this. That's a whole different thing called Truffle Duffle. But this is a smaller version that can be embroidered. So I'm going to be adding these samplers to the shop. This is the mushroom one, and there's another one here that has sea life in it. But the quality is really nice. The fabric is really nice and thick. It is for hand embroidery, but it's done on linen. So if you like stitching with kind of holes that you can see to do different kinds of stitches like Algerian eyes or anything that would require you to kind of open the weave a little bit, this would work really well on this kind of fabric. So we're going to have some new samplers coming from Sue Spargo, as well as some of her wool embroidery kits. Her kits are complete kits, so you have the pattern, and then you have all of the wool that you need to complete them. What I did not know is that all of her wool is milled and dyed in Ohio. So all of this stuff is in the US. Obviously, country of origin was a huge topic of conversation at H&H because of the tariff situation. And I had a lot of really good conversations with folks, different things that overseas suppliers are willing to work with small businesses on in order to try to limit the price increases that would be caused by tariffs. But looking for new stuff, I was definitely keeping that in mind in terms of what could potentially be impacted by the tariff situation that's going on. And so finding things that are made here in the US and that won't be subject to the ever-changing tariff fiasco was kind of a plus. So all of Sue's wool is manufactured and dyed here in Ohio. And so that's what's included in all of her kits. And then, so she has a line of thread that is made by Wonderfill. And she's got Sue Spargo collections of Eleganza pearl cotton, as well as the Afina wool. What's a wool rayon blend, I think. But she has this collection also of needles that you need and needles are confusing for everyone, especially because their sizing is really counterintuitive. But what I think is really cool is that Sue has this collection of needles that you could use for all sorts of stitch work. And she has very brilliantly color-coded the labels of her needles to coordinate with the spool colors of the thread that this goes with. So if you're working with a Spargo pearl cotton and you have it comes on a blue spool, you would use you would know that the blue needles are the ones that go with that thickness. Similarly, if it's on a green spool, you use the green ones. So I thought that was super clever. It makes needle finding a lot easier instead of, having to try to figure it out on your own. But she has all of her needles they're great quality. They're all made in Japan. This is this is her creative stitching needle pack. So it comes with all of these needles come in that pack. So I am going to be getting kind of this big pack if you really want to kind of get the whole collection all at once. But I am going to get them also individually. So if you just need, a pack of milliner needles, you'll be able to grab those. But the storage is really nice, comes in these little labeled tubes. The other thing that I don't have a sample of, but that I am definitely getting from her is because I made a needlebook for myself several years ago, and I hand stamped the names of all the needles. And every single time somebody picks those up, they ask me, where did I get the labels from? And I have to explain that I made it myself. But brilliantly, again, Sue Spargo has a printed fabric needle label sheet. So you can cut out if you're making your own needle book and you want to label the pages as to these are milliner needles, these are tapestry needles, it will be a piece of fabric that has all of those needle names printed on there so that you can then cut it out and put it into your needle book, which I thought was really very brilliant. So you'll be seeing lots more Sue Spargo in the shop later on this summer. I am trying to figure out and make space there's so many thread cabinets that I want to add to the shop, and I am running low on space in here. So right now we're kind of playing this game of what can I move around to fit where, and trying to decide which cabinets I can actually bring in, because I have a place to put them. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Let's see. Cosmo was at the show as well. And they had these complete sashiko coaster kits. So Cosmo is a big company. They don't just have the embroidery floss. They have a line of sashiko supplies called hidamari. They also do embroidery kits, which I bring in straight from Japan. And so this is from their sashiko line. And they are in the process of redoing all of their hidamari samplers. So they're, if you were familiar with them, they used to come in these kind of bright, like pink and peach colors, green, a dark blue. They're doing away with all those, and they're going more towards a neutral palette. So the same designs, but it's going to be on new colors. So like a white, almond, the traditional navy. And so if you like the Cosmo sashiko patterns, and you see that they're kind of getting harder and harder to get, it's because those colors are being phased out and the new colors haven't been introduced yet. So those should be hopefully by the fall or so, we should have those. But you can see some of the new colors here in these cute little kits. So these are all-inclusive kits. They have the sashiko sampler in here. Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks, Christine. I'm glad you're enjoying seeing all the new stuff. So these kits they're to make 2 coasters. So you've got the pre-printed sampler in the kit, as well as bobbins of the Cosmo Hidamari thread. You've got some extra floss. If you want to turn them into there's a little label here if you want to make it into a little hanging thing there. And then you also have your sashiko needles and your needle threader. So this is going to be a nice new option. Some folks, especially beginners that are always looking, where do I start with sashiko? These kind of all-inclusive coaster kits are a fantastic place to start. They are, it's very doable in a short amount of time, so you get a result fairly quickly. And the quality I've always enjoyed the quality of the fabric that Cosmo uses for their sashiko samplers. It's a little bit thicker than the Olympus fabric. And these new colors they're quite nice. I like this blue quite a bit. So that's what new stuff that we have coming from Cosmo. Let's see what else is in here. Fabulism. So talking about fabric, switching over to fabric rather. Fabulism is a small fabric company. They are based out of California, and all of their fabrics are woven in India. They let me know that their Everyday Chambray line, which was their bamboo blend, is being discontinued. So if you're a fan of Everyday Chambray, I do still have some left in the shop. But once it's sold out, it is gone. They are discontinuing it, and they are going to be focusing on 100% cotton fabric from now on. These were some awesome samples that they let me go home with. But the the fabric that I'm most excited from them is they have a new Indian block print that's going to be coming out in the fall, I believe she said, November maybe. I've got pictures of it over on Instagram and in the Substack posts if you want to take a sneak peek at those block prints that are coming. But really different, really pretty. I'm a fan of block prints, so that's fun stuff that's coming. Lots of new colors. They're replacing the Everyday Chambray line with this watercolor wovens line, which is 100% cotton, but has kind of that texture, that look of the Essex. So it's not just a flat color. There's a little bit of, they're very, very pretty. So we're going to be getting many bolts of those as well. So there's lots of new fabulism on its way. Let's see. So now I think what's left here is stuff that I have not quite ordered yet that I am pondering, thinking. This was a new to me company called Keller Designs. And they had these super cute DIY embroidery patch kits, which was something I hadn't seen before. And so it comes with the little blank patches. And then you've got stick and stitch patterns in here, some floss and needles, and then you can make your own embroidered patches, which I thought was super, super cute. So these, it's something I'm still thinking about. And then, like I said, loads of stick and stitch everywhere. Her stick and stitch, she prints out in color to give you kind of color inspiration, lots of different designs. This is another way that the stick and stitch patterns come. Some folks cut out the motifs for you so that you don't have to be cutting them out yourself, and then you can just kind of stick them and go. So that is one item that I'm pondering. So again, new to me, I had never heard of Olive Grace Studios. Really beautiful booth, really beautiful designs. And what she does is she combines embroidery and quilting. So she's got patterns that bring the two together, and she's got everything from full kind of 12 block of the month where you do an embroidery and then incorporate that into a quilt block and create this huge quilt, to smaller kind of wall hangings and smaller embroidery pieces. A lot of different options to choose from. She designs in Cosmo, which I always love and appreciate since Cosmo is what I have here in the shop. And just her designs are they're really sweet. They're really lovely. So we'll be getting some Olive Grace patterns as well. I stopped by Search Press. I have actually had this Essential Embroidery Stitches card deck on order for over a year now, and I'm not sure why I don't have it yet. But I actually was able to get my hands on the actual deck. So hopefully my order will be filled soon, and we'll get these out to everybody. I lost my cutter knife is on this desk somewhere. But I really enjoy these card decks. They are fantastic for learning stitches. So it's the same as a stitch dictionary, except that they come in a card deck form. So it's kind of a little bit more interactive. So you have the photograph of the stitch on the front of the card, along with places where you could use it, alternate names, and then on the back is a hand-drawn illustration showing you exactly how to do the stitch. So this deck comes with 50, I think, 50 different stitches. What I think is really fun, I personally keep a embroidery sampler that when I'm trying to learn new stitches, and I just have I drew a pie on a piece of fabric, and I just test out new stitches on it. So these decks are fun for that because you can just kind of pick out a card and give that stitch a try and see how you like it. So for learning different stitches, these decks are, I think, really handy and really helpful. And I like that this one has both photographs and clear illustrations on how to do the stitches. Like I said, I've had these on order for over a year. I'm not sure what's going on with production, but hopefully my order will appear some point this summer, and we will have these in the shop. These folks, so ScanFill is a sewing machine thread. It comes in 50 weight and 30 weight. Since the closing of Joann's, I have been getting more folks coming in, especially for the open studios, asking for sewing machine thread, which is not something that I typically carry, but I am probably going to be ordering their thread cabinets in both weights, the 50 and the 30. What I was impressed with the 30 weight, so threads, the smaller the number, the thicker the thread. So the 50 weight is thinner than the 30 weight. They had several examples in their booths using the 30 weight thread for visible mending, as well as applique. They had it as single stranded as well as double stranded for kind of a thicker, bolder line. So that was kind of fun. I've never played with 30 weight thread myself for that kind of stuff. But where I kept hearing folks talking about this throughout the show was the 50 weight for English paper piecing. Folks that have used Aurifil for years said that they actually prefer the ScanFill, that it tends to knot less, glides through easier, and doesn't lint up nearly as much. So that's what I have been experimenting with my English paper piecing projects, and I'm loving it. It's exactly what everybody said. It has a really clean stitch. There's not a lot of lint or felt, like fuzzy pieces that are coming off, and it doesn't knot nearly as much. So keep an eye out. This thread is, so it's the organic cotton thread. It's made in Europe, and the cabinets that I'm looking at has a pretty decent selection of colors. There's about, I think, 30 or 40 different colors in each weight. So they also have, which I thought I had in here, but I can't seem to find. Nope, there it is. They also have these pre-made color assortments, which are really cute because not only are the colors very pretty, but you actually get a thread holder in this box. So it comes with the little wooden, all the spools are sitting on this little holder, and it has little feet so that you can sit it on your sewing table or whatnot, which I thought was a really cute addition. The spools are all wooden spools, which is really nice. So you'll be seeing some of this stuff in the shop later on this summer. All right, so the last couple of things that I have in here, this grid tape comes from the makers of the Belux, the fusible fleece, and the interfacing. So this is a new product that they have, and it is a grippy tape that you can basically use for any application you can think of. I'm trying to find the end of it here. They had it in their booth on the bottom of quilting rulers to kind of make them more grippy. It's double-sided and it's quite sticky. So what I thought would be great is for wool applique, like any of the Corienne LaPierre kits, anything where you're taking those little bitty wool pieces and trying to stitch them on without a hoop and get them not to move. And so I thought this tape would actually work really well because you can cut it down to a tiny little piece and stick that on and it'll stick. So you'll be seeing some of this stuff on there. They, what else did they use it for? They had all sorts of uses for it, but it's just kind of a double-sided, super sticky that does not leave residue. There we go. You can kind of hear my fingers sticking to it. So this is their grid tape, which I thought was handy and clever. So we'll be adding some more of that when we place our next order with them. And then the kind of last item that I have here to show you comes from the Oxford Company, and this is Punch Needle. The Oxford Punch works with yarn instead of embroidery floss. And so it's a kind of thicker tool. This is their monk cloth. They've got a sweet little smiley face printed on here for you to punch. I've thought about adding punch needle to the shop for a long time, but since I don't carry yarn, that would be kind of a big other investment. But it was really fun. They had demo booths, so you could sit and try it, and I enjoyed the process. It was really fun to play with the punch needle, to make these things. So this is something that's kind of in the back of my mind for probably not this summer, but down the road, is the possibility of adding some Oxford punch needles and their materials. What I really liked was their monk cloth. It's very soft. I've been asked for monk cloth over the years, and I've just never been happy with any of the ones that I have been able to find. So I was excited to find them because their monk cloth is really nice. Like I said, it's very soft, has a really nice kind of drape and hand to it, and it works great for punch needle projects. So in the back of my mind, we'll keep that there. All right, so this has gone on a bit longer than I intended it to, but I hope you enjoyed getting a sneak peek at some of the things that I picked up at H&H. These are just the items that I was able to get physical samples of. At most trade shows, folks don't actually have samples. You're really there not to buy things in person, but rather to establish wholesale relationships. And so there are many other items that I ordered that I don't have physical examples of quite yet, but that will be coming later on this summer. So you're going to be seeing a whole bunch of new stuff hitting the shop this summer. So be sure to keep up with our new arrivals. If you are on the Shopify Shop app and you favorite Snuggly Monkey, then anytime we add new items, you get a little notification saying Snuggly Monkey has added new items. If you're on the Shop app, that's kind of a handy tool. But yeah, there you go. So I hope that you have enjoyed this first Substack Live. I've got some plans. The one thing that I absolutely love is the inverted camera. And so you all can actually read the things that I'm holding up correctly, which I could never get to work on Instagram. So this is fantastic. But I've got some kind of joint interview style lives planned for this summer that I'm excited about. And we'll go back to doing the unboxings and all of that good stuff. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been fun to be back. Plans for the Snuggly Monkey Summer. We are introducing Open Studio weekends this summer. So up until now, our format is we are predominantly an online store, but once a month we open up for in-person shopping. It has always been one Saturday a month, but starting in June, we are going to be open both Saturday and Sunday. So the first one will be June 21st and 22nd. On Saturdays, we'll be open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you are in Durham, North Carolina, or anywhere in the surrounding area, you want to come in and shop in person, please feel free to stop by during any of our Open Studio weekends this summer. We only do 2 sales a year. We do a big customer appreciation sale in November. And then in July, which is the anniversary of when we moved Snuggly Monkey out of our house and into this location, we will be celebrating our 4th studio anniversary. And we do a sale in July to kind of coordinate with that. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun, and I will be back again soon. Bye.